Hey YouTube, it is EFW Waller, and I'm here to deliver another review to you all. Now, today or tonight as it were, yeah, I'm filming this kind of late at night. I want to talk about a book that I recently got through reading, a graphic novel. It is a Superman graphic novel that was recommended to me by Deadpoolzilla, and it is called Superman: The Ending Battle. Now, you may notice that I don't have the book with me. That is because I left the book all the way back at my college dorm, and I am currently at my house right now. But I have read the book. I just got through reading it about roughly 2 days ago. And my thoughts on it, I was a little disappointed with it. I'm not saying that I hated it, but in my opinion, it could have been a lot better. I think the idea of the book is fantastic because I'm a huge Superman fan. You may not know it, but I am a very big Superman fan. Some of you may not be surprised to hear this because about more than half of my supervillains explored videos are about Superman villains, and considering I'm such a huge fan of Superman's Rogues Gallery, when Deadpoolzilla recommended this book to me over Skype, it was a book. It was about Superman fighting nearly all of his entire Rogues Gallery. And I was like, holy shit, that sounds amazing. That sounds awesome. I gotta buy that. And I bought it. I think I think my expectations for it may have been a bit too high. Oh, it was a good book. But I just kind of finished reading it feeling a little bit underwhelmed. I mean, it's not a book that I plan on getting rid of, but it's a good book. It's a very good Superman book. The finale, it has a very good finale, a very emotional, a great finale that's definitely worthy of Superman. But the problem with the book, the biggest problem that I have with the book is that I feel that the book is just all the fights that Superman has with all of his enemies are just way too abrupt. I mean, it just they just what I mean by this is that Superman, he goes through basically like a gauntlet of many of his most obscure villains. He fights a lot of really obscure villains of his, such as the Master Jailer, Neutron, Atomic Skull. Oh my god, the fight with Atomic Skull was such a huge letdown for me because, I shit you not, the fight between Superman and Atomic Skull is only 2 panels. 2 panels! I saw that and I was like, are you kidding me? That was the shortest fight in the entire book, and it only lasted 2 panels. That's the main gripe I have with the book, is that they go to all the trouble to bring in all these lesser-known Superman villains like Terraman, Atomic Skull, Neutron, Master Jailer, the Elite. They bring in all these villains, but then they rarely ever use them. But it's not really until they bring in villains of a higher caliber, villains that I happen to love a whole lot, like Metallo and Mongol, Silver Banshee, and Hank Henshaw. Hank Henshaw actually appears in this book for about the latter half, at least the last, I want to say like 3 or 4 pages of one issue collected in the trade paperback. and Superman doesn't even he doesn't even fight Hank Henshaw one-on-one because Hank Henshaw just takes possession of this starship and he tries to use its its fail-safe defense systems to try to kill Superman. But then Superman just brings him down very easily. It's so disappointing. I was happy when I was happy towards the end of the book whenever you had Superman fighting Mongols and Silver Banshee and Mongol, Silver Banshee, and Master Jailer. I was really happy about that. But that fight lasted a fairly decent amount of time. But with and at the very end, you got the villain Manchester Black, who's pretty much the mastermind. Who's pretty much the mastermind behind the entire sort of villain breakout. And this is the highlight of the book right here. It's the very end where Manchester Black sort of plays a little trick on Superman. I don't want to spoil it for all of you, but nevertheless, it's definitely the highlight of the book and definitely one of the best Superman comic book moments I've ever read. It so perfectly defines Superman as a character that it so perfectly defines Superman because even just no matter how much pain and suffering Superman goes through, he will still retain his moral integrity. He will still remain a good man. And I love that. I love the way the book ends. I mean, honestly, I would have given this book a glaring recommendation if only it lasted longer. If only the fight between Superman and all of his rogues were a lot, or if only they had lasted a lot longer. I think if there was one other story arc I could think of off the top of my head that I could sort of compare this book to, it's Batman Nightfall. I'm not saying that ending battle is exactly like Nightfall, but just let me elaborate on this. In Nightfall, you had Bane destroy Arkham Asylum and unleash all of Batman's main enemies into the streets of Gotham. Whereas, in this book, in this Ending Battle Superman book, Manchester Black finds out that Superman is Clark Kent, and he uses that information and he sells that information to all of, I guess, Superman's earthbound enemies. And because of that, they all begin to target the people that Clark Kent knows in real life. They target his Daily Planet co-workers. They target his personal high school friends. They target his parents and his family members, including Kal-El, and there's a little cameo appearance by John Henry Irons in here. I mean, the book was fairly well written. The artwork was good. It did its job well. I just wish the book lasted a lot longer. I wish all the encounters that Superman had with all of his enemies lasted so much. They actually lasted longer, because in Batman Nightfall, whenever there would be like whole issues of the first event of Nightfall dedicated to Batman bringing down like a certain one of his villains. And like, there would be a whole issue of Batman trying to take down Firefly, and then it would move on to the Mad Hatter, and then it would move on to Joker and Scarecrow. Now, I'm making it sound like Ending Battle is like a ripoff of Nightfall, and it's not. I can definitely say that what Manchester Black does to Superman at the very end of Ending Battle is a little reminiscent of what Bane does to Batman, but I need to quit with the Nightfall similarities. Okay. I don't plan to say anything more about Nightfall. Okay. It's just that if the fights with all of Superman's other enemies lasted a lot longer, then that would speak volumes of all the other enemies that Superman has besides Lex Luthor. That would sort of prompt people to, look up more about his enemies like Hank Henshaw or Terraman or Metallo or Mongol or Silver Banshee or Master Jailer. I was a little disappointed at the absence of Parasite though, because you have all these other villains, but they don't bring in Parasite. What was up with that? Yeah, but anyways, overall, Ending Battle, in my opinion, even though I don't have the book with me, I finished reading it like a couple of days ago, and it's still very much fresh on my mind. So that's my honest review of it. I wouldn't buy it for any more than say maybe $7. Not 7. I wouldn't buy it for more than like $10. Roughly. It's a good book. It's really not one of the better Superman books I've read. As far as Superman goes, I've read way better books. But it's definitely worthy to be ranked among sort of the lower echelon Superman books that happen to be kind of decent. It's decent. That's really all I can say about it. It's a decent book. It has a very good ending, but the pace of the first 2 acts of the book are pretty rushed. So yeah, that's my review on Superman Ending Battles. I hope you all enjoyed it. Like I said, I can't really recommend it for a price over $10. But that's all I have to say on it. Goodbye, everybody.